What's up guys, Mike here. So let's talk about lenses today. Now in terms of camera lenses, there are all sorts of lenses out there with all sorts of focal lengths. And if you don't know what focal length means, it's basically like how far a lens can zoom in and out. So you've got crop sensor lenses, you got medium format lenses, you got like full frame lenses, 10 to 18 mil, 12 to 24 mil,
16 to 35, 24 to 70, 100 to 200, 100 to 400.
All sorts of focal lengths. So this video isn't going to be as much about the specific types of focal ranges as it is about the specific types of looks that those focal ranges could give you, and what types of lenses in general you should be looking for when you're just starting out into photography. With that being said, here are the three types of lenses that I think you need as a beginner photographer. The first type of lens is what's known as the wide angle lens. Now, this is what I'm kind of dubbing the see everything lens, because wide angle lenses are lenses that allow you to see like a very large perspective of things in front of you or wherever the lens is pointing. Kind of hence why they're called wide angle, because they can see a wide field of view. Now, wide angle lenses would be like, the Sony 10 to 18 mil like I have here that I shoot with a lot. They could be something like, 16 to 24. Usually they are lenses with a lower millimeter focal length. So whatever like the numbers are in front of the millimeters that you see on like, specs of lenses and stuff like that, that's the focal length. So wide angle lenses are lenses with, those smaller numbers. And because they can see such a wide angle of things, they're very good for landscapes, they're very good for cityscapes or some types of street photography. They're also very good for portraits in some occasions and many other things, just, any kind of application that you would need a wide field of view. I've done a lot of hotel room shoots with this particular lens. You can see the entire room. You don't have to get like multiple shots and then stack them back to back to back. You can get everything in one shot. You can see like, foreground, background. You can see things below you, above you, to the side. You get the idea. So this lens right here, if you got enough of the cameras, hopefully, since this is in front of my face, the camera will focus. But you guys see here, the numbers on this lens go from 10 to 18 millimeters, which gives for a pretty wide field of view. Okay, the second type of lens that you should be investing in when you're a beginner photographer is what's called a telephoto lens, or something that I'm dubbing a compressed look lens. The focal lengths of telephoto lenses really go anywhere from like 50 mil all the way up to 600 millimeters. The telephoto lens I have right here goes from, and this is I talked about this in another video. This goes from 75 to 300 millimeters. If you notice, when you zoom in, the lens gets a little bit longer. But these lenses allow you to really zoom in on a subject or a very small particular part of a landscape or cityscape or whatever you're looking at, and they do what's called compression. So it's going to be a lot easier for me to kind of like show you what compression means than actually explain it to you, but I'm going to do my best. So for example, if you have a house that's in front of some mountains, you have some mountains behind the house, and you use something like a wide angle like the Sony 10 to 18 to capture it first, you're going to get a very wide field of view, and you're going to see a lot more than just the house and the mountains behind it. But if you use something like a medium, somewhat medium telephoto lens, like a 50 mil, you can zoom in a lot more on that house, and you can capture just it and the mountains behind it. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot more like scale to the scene with using the telephoto lens. The house and the mountains behind it is going to have much more of a much different perspective to it. And this is kind of the look. This is the look that telephoto lenses give you, in my opinion. They allow for a lot more compression and like perspective on larger things versus smaller things. And like I said, it's easier to see in a photo than it is can be for me to explain it, but hopefully that makes sense. I've used telephoto lenses for landscape photography and cityscape photography. I want to zoom into a particular thing in the landscape, or like a particular part of a mountain. Like this photo right here is from the North Georgia mountains. This was shot at 210 millimeters. And I even cropped in even more from that to get this particular shot. But this shot would have not been able to be taken with a wide angle lens. This is, as you guys can see, that we're very far zoomed into to the mountain layers here. And this is the kind of look that you can get with a telephoto lens. The third type of lens that you need as a beginner photographer is what's called the fast prime lens, or what I'm calling the sharp look. Before I go further, let me kind of explain what these terms mean. Fast means that there's a wide aperture. And what a wide aperture does is it allows the camera to take photos with a very short shutter speed, which means the photos can be taken very quickly. I think that's what they're called fast lens. So wide aperture means you can take the shot very quickly. Prime means that the focal length of the lens is fixed. So a good example of this is this old Minolta 50mm prime lens, f1.7. So I'm not sure how well the camera's gonna pick this up, but I'll try and open up the aperture all the way here, and then I'll close it down. I really hope you guys can see this. So opening, if you guys can see, what I hope you can see, you'll be able to see the aperture opening and closing in the middle. So at this wide aperture right here, the camera will be able to pick up a lot more light than it would be, say, at f4. So here's f4, here's f1.7. f4, f1.7. You guys can see at f4, things are a lot more closed off, and at f1.7, things are a lot more open. So the camera can pick up a lot more light, and it doesn't take as long to get a photo because you have more light coming in at the large aperture than you do with the smaller one. So that's what fast means, that's what prime means. So with prime lenses, here's another example of a prime lens, this 50mm, the Sony 50mm f1.8. The only drawback to these is that they're prime, they're a fixed focal length. So unlike the Sony 10-18 or the Sigma, or not the Sigma, the Minolta 75-300, you can't zoom in and out. So another example of a prime lens is this other 50mm. This is made by Sony. This is a 1.8 lens. So like I was saying before, you can't zoom in and out with these lenses, but that's because the lenses are made specifically for that one focal length, which means they're much, much sharper, in my experience, than other lenses that would include that focal length, like in the zoom. A great example is this lens that I'm filming on right here. This is a Sigma 16mm f1.4. This lens is super sharp. It can get looks to photos and videos that are just not possible with any other lens that I have. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other ones. In terms of the sharpness, in terms of like just being able to separate the subject in front of the camera from the background behind them, fast prime lenses are great for portraits. They're great for like headshots. They're great for any kind of photo you want to take that needs to separate the subject from everything else in the photo. They're even good for some astrophotography shots like Milky Way photography or deep space photography. I've gotten multiple shots with this lens that you guys are looking through right now of the Milky Way that are just crazy in detail, because this lens can open up to f1.4, which none of my other lenses can. That just allows so much light to enter the lens and hit the center of the camera. I can get so many shots of the Milky Way like in a very, very small time period that I can overlap those shots in Photoshop and just bring out so much detail in the Milky Way. It's insane. I won't put all of my Milky Way shots on the screen here, but if you guys are following me on Instagram or want to go check out my Instagram page, I have a lot of Milky Way shots on that page. I would say 95% of the Milky Way shots, or the shots that I use the Milky Way in, that I post on Instagram, 95% of those has been captured with this lens, Sigma 16mm f1.4. Another thing about fast prime lenses is they can be wide angle, like the lens I'm filming on right now, the 16mm f1.4, or they can be telephoto lenses. There's a lens out that Sony makes, 400mm f2.8. It's $12,000, but it would be a fast prime lens, especially that focal length. So I mean, so you can have 16mm prime lenses, you could have 10mm prime lenses, all the way up to 400, even 600mm, and everything in between. The reason I'm mentioning prime lenses is because of the sharpness and generally the quality of the lens, and just the unique look that they give the photos that you take with them. All right, so those are the 3 lenses you need as a beginner photographer. Number 1, the wide angle, see everything lens. Number 2, the telephoto, very, very compressed, fixed on a single place in the in the scene type of lens. And number 3, the fast prime lens, or what I'm calling the sharp lens, that gives a very, very unique look to whatever focal length you're shooting at. All right, guys, hope this video was helpful. I hope if you're just beginning, I hope this helped kind of I hope this gave you at least some language to kind of fit things in the photography realm into. I know, like, when I was just getting into photography, there's all this jargon to learn first, and then there's camera gear and like specs, and how to fit the words with what those specs mean. So anyways, it's a lot to learn. I hope this helped in furthering along your education with photography in some way. All right, we'll end the video here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps out the YouTube algorithm tremendously. If you like videos like this, feel free to subscribe, browse my channel for more, and I'll see you guys next time.